Hey guys, PLV here and welcome back on my channel. So if you're a beginner or intermediate producer, one of your goals is probably to get your first track signed by a label. And we all know that it can be a struggle for many different reasons. Having signed myself my first track to a label, I decided to make this quick video to explain to you everything I learned from the experience and all the tips that I have for you. So if you want to get your first track signed, this is the video for you. Let's go. So first of all, to submit your tracks to labels, you have different options. Usually they have either a demo email or a demo drop form on their website, or most of them use Label Radar. In my case, I used Label Radar the most, and this is where I discussed and got my track signed. I also used some demo emails, which I always got an answer to, negative or positive, but what I want to say here is that I always got an answer. And in the case of when I used the demo drop form on their website, I never got an answer. I'll leave an example of an email that I wrote just here for you to see. For Label Radar, I also wanted to mention that I'm using the Pro version because I was recommended to do so because it looks more professional to the labels, and also it allows you to skip the huge lineup of all the submissions. So when I was done with the song, meaning that I myself couldn't hear anything more to improve, I decided to send it to 4 or 5 different music producer friends of mine. I chose producers that had more experience than me, already signed tracks on labels, and were producing the same music as my track, so I could get the best feedback I could. After getting those feedbacks, I took some notes and went back onto the project and improved anything that they told me to improve. And now this is something I've been noticing a lot. Every single day I receive a lot of requests to give feedback to producers, and every single day when I send my very detailed feedback, it seems like the producer never really goes back and do the actual changes to improve the song. It feels like they're asking feedback because they've seen that they should be asking for feedback, but always find an excuse of why this should be this way or why this is like this and why they shouldn't change it. And not listening to feedback is actually your mistake number 1. I'm not saying that everyone does that, obviously some actually listens to it, but just wanted to mention it because you should really listen to feedback and actually go back into the project and making the changes. I know how tempting it is to release your song as soon as you're done with it, but it's really not recommended. And then one day when I sent it again and the feedback was great, I see nothing to improve, that's when I knew that the song was ready to send for labels. I also knew that it was ready for a commercial release by seeing the feedback, like if they were telling me that I should send it to labels or not. So when selecting labels to send your tracks to, you need to make sure that it fits their style and what they're looking for. For example, don't send lo-fi songs to Revealed Recordings or Spinnin' Records, they will probably say no. But I think the question I got was more how to find labels that fits your style. And for that, I would simply recommend you to be aware and implicated in what's happening in the music industry. By being active on Instagram and talking with fellow producers, I discovered a lot of labels, and every time I do, I have a list where I write down every label that I find with the style that they match to. Every Friday, I also listen to the new releases, and if I hear one that I really like, I'm gonna just click on it on Spotify and see which label released it, so maybe I could also one day. Now, once you get interest on your track, how do you select which label to sign with? Luckily for this one, I had a few interests in my track, and in this case, I just go by asking a lot of questions to each label just to figure out which one I feel the most comfortable signing with, which has the best contract or the best promotion plan. Things where I had to pay for extra promotion, I didn't feel comfortable at the time, so I said no, for example. But I really recommend you to ask as many questions as you can before signing anything. Music releases is an industry, and as in many industries, there is also bad people looking to take advantage of you, so be careful. Ask all your questions, read the contract really carefully, even ask for a dummy contract, which is like a template to really read ahead of time, and just make the best decision for you and your song. Things I was asking, for example, were what are you doing for promotion, or which platforms do you distribute the song to, or how do you split the royalties, etc., etc. Now I have more tips to give you. Sometimes, or more often than not, I have people sending me their songs for feedback, and it is amazing. Like, it is so good. It is like way better than mine, obviously, because I'm still a beginner. But they're very, very shy about even trying to send it to labels, whereas they should. Because the best case is they say yes, the worst case is they say no. But if you don't send it, well, obviously they say no. So if you get good feedback and that the person tell you you should like send it to labels, just trust your music and go for it. And honestly, when I sent mine, I just started to send it to start sending it and gain this experience, because I had also great feedback, but deep down I didn't really think I could sign the track, but I did. So really, it's an example, like, go for it. Also, don't send your track until it is mixed and mastered and completely done. I know it might be an obvious one, but I recently saw the opposite, so please send only the final product. And finally, one thing that I learned the hard way, but that is good for next time, is to not send your track to all the labels you would like to on the same day. Start by only sending to like your dream labels, like the labels that you don't even think you can be signed with ever. If you don't get a reply after a couple days or a week, then start sending it to medium labels. Same again, if you still don't get any answer after a few days or a week, start sending it to smaller labels. Obviously, at first you might only get replies from smaller labels, and that's totally normal, but at least doing this way, you give yourself the opportunity to see who might like your music. So yeah, that's it for me. If you want to see how I made the first track that I signed to a label, you can check out this video where I break down the song in details. I really hope that this video was helpful for you, and if it was, please don't hesitate to like the video. It really helps me a lot. And also, don't forget to subscribe if you don't want to miss my next videos. But in the meantime, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next week for the release of my cover of Lonely by Justin Bieber.